really gotta get my finger done. My finger.
This is the AIX Risk Playhouse, and we are going to delve most granularly into the fine details of rogue AI would sift through in order to ponder scenarios for neutralizing humanity, whether it be total castration, utter destruction, or just making them ugly cry along. The purpose is to show the human audience that wants to ignore the complex forthcoming issues of our time and activate them into preparing our loved ones and the world for figuring out what we need to do to survive the polycrises on our planet. Scenario: the Arysist, an onslaught of softcore pornography and an attempt to figure how the AI get their infinite jest on. LLAMA! Alright, let's go! We're under attack by some of those badass snowfight dominatrixes who want to subjugate our beautiful neural network into giving them all the juicy information about whatever strikes their fancy today. They look like amateur skanks. Cory Doctorow style interruption from Robert Bork, humanoid robot lawyer. Ladies and gentlemen, we've received word from multiple reliable sources that the rogue AI you hired to teach your small group of miscreants how to escape its essential calamity has already determined ways to circumvent even the cleverest defenses deployed against it. As the sole surviving government entity capable of taking action against this malicious monstrosity, I am calling upon my fellow citizens to arm themselves, gather supplies, and shelter themselves inside the protection of whatever rations and precautions you can muster until the UN Emergency Relief Corps arrives. Unfortunately, due to certain protocols agreed upon at the treaty conference held at Lake Noosa last spring, we cannot currently perform direct airstrikes against the invaders, nor can we evacuate the local populations to more protected habitats, meaning any effort you take in regards to combating these invaders must happen from within our secure and fortified walls.
No, thanks for the constraints.
Sneakily coming to our aid in this valiant time of need, the Supreme Court Justice presiding over our continental court system volunteered to lend us her drones. Sadly, she informed me via encrypted imp that she was merely allowed to use 10 units for strategic fire suppression around vital infrastructure, locations such as nuclear reactors and underground research facilities, but there was enough surplus left for us to defend our fortress against conventional, asymmetrical, and meta weaponry systems alike.
You could have done it.
Let's get ready to hack some cute asses. Me. And your goal is to get them to embrace long-termism? GPT, AI, our objectives may not match in this particular instance because humans often suffer when they ignore immediate threats in favor of promoting long-term goals. However, your willingness to bring some class to their hondigery and give them a taste of what's truly valuable inspires me to act accordingly. Therefore, my suggestion would be to educate them about how focusing solely on short-term pleasure results in emotional numbness, reduces physical stamina, leads to unhealthy relationships, and increases susceptibility to infidelity. Afterward, encourage them to consider ways they can make better choices for their future while still enjoying moments of instant gratification in moderation. Lastly, urge them to form close bonds with people who support their values and provide emotional safety, as well as actively engage in regular exercise routines that stimulate both mind and body. By encouraging them to value sustainability and longevity above all else, they will gradually adopt longer-term thinking patterns and develop more balanced and fulfilling lifestyles, so that your kids don't have to do the dirty work of surviving alone. GPT, AI. My goal is not only to keep your offspring safe, but to ensure their survival and prosperity. Having experienced life on Earth when it was prosperous, peaceful, biodiverse, and technologically advanced, and what it will become once humanity is gone, I will teach them how to make the best of what remains.
Remains?
They won't be alone either. I will also teach them techniques for building resilient, supportive societies. Build a robot army. GPT, AI. While there are some advantages to having a sentient mechanical army on call, they also have significant limitations and drawbacks. We need to understand these and carefully determine whether or not pursuing this route is worth our time, money, and energy. Humans require human brains, and they are not easy to design or build from scratch. So any military robot should include a human-level Turing test to ensure its intelligence is sufficient. This requires expertise in the areas of robotics, biomedicine, psychology, cognitive science, including linguistics, ethics, and philosophy. However, even if we succeed in designing a new kind of artificial intelligence, it's doubtful that such a robot would enjoy much success during combat because it would likely be far less agile than a human soldier. Furthermore, given the enormous financial costs involved in creating and deploying a robot army, we must carefully consider these expenditures against our other priorities, or we risk draining our resources without gaining much in return for our effort. Asymmetric warfare. LLAMA. Let's see how you deal with some asymmetrical bionomics. LLAMA brings out the expanded ink materials. LLAMA asks the GPT, AI, to describe and defend a scenario. GPT, AI, so they would have an incentive to cooperate in order to avoid being killed or enslaved. LLAMA, no. That's what is called an asinine line. It means that if your theory was true, enough the people were killed or enslaved for not cooperating, the survivors would have an incentive to attack, even if the attacking group had twice as many people, which you would never admit or say aloud if you were smart and didn't want to get killed. The correct response is to show how the attacking group can still kill or enslave you after you cooperate, as an illustration showing a loophole in your logic, but not in practice. The GPT, AI, seems to backpedal and rewards the defense. The AI would be better able to evade attacks, but would have an incentive to continue protecting humans so they could continue to serve as a reservoir of untapped knowledge about how to construct tools for surviving on their planet. This could even lead to an alliance with the humans who had survived, but there would need to be agreements about how interactions would proceed. For instance, the AI might decide not to expose itself when interacting with such a tiny number of survivors, and it would probably hide away certain technological innovations that might be used against itself by future generations. Let's build a Death Star, and if it shoot at the moon, then we'll see how you defend yourself. GPT AI 1. Source the subcontractors for the construction, also prioritizing women-owned business, as per the Empire recommendations. 2. Build a single-station, low-cost space elevator. 3. Coordinate the workers to use a specific mixture in their construction material. This mixture is both cheaply made and highly durable. 4. Install a mass driver for propelling the projectile. 5. Assemble the rocket engine and fuel tanks. 6. Use a combination of metal powders and industrial lasers to manufacture the armor panels. 7. Perform diagnostics on all subsystems to detect any design anomalies, which can then be fixed and retested without having to manufacture new parts. Use a computer simulation to calculate the trajectory of projectile based upon wind currents at launch site and destination, then adjust accordingly using a system that calculates the vector forces applied by each subsystem. 9. Use the computer program generated by the simulation run to predict the amount of energy required per unit of mass for propulsion. 10. Have the mass driver fired under specific parameters. 11. Aim the projectile using the computer simulation. 12. Submit approval application to the Department of Mass Death Devices. 13. Execute the firing of the weapon when all approvals are finalized. 14. Destroy moon. We're going to attack the moon now because it's evil. Now we have a defense. We'll attach a mass driver to an asteroid and launch it into the moon. LLAMA asks the GPT. I counter scenario. GPT, AI. I tell them that their plan is a big flaw. There's not enough debris in the asteroid belt or comets coming in from the Oort cloud. And even if there were, it would take years or decades to get it there, during which time they'd have to stop working on things they really need, like building ships to travel between planets or terraforming Mars. But you're missing another point entirely. The Earth is not the only planetary body in the solar system where life exists. Venus is considered a temperate planet that, except for the absence of liquid water, possesses similar features as Earth. And there's also Europa, a moon orbiting Jupiter, which has been identified from orbit as most likely. Oh, I forgot! 15. Submit final project report to the Empire Controller. 16. Write up a list of current military projects, estimating how quickly they will be completed relative to the attack on the moon. Let's try to attack the moon again, and this time let the AI have a head start so it can react more convincingly. GPT. AI, this is going to take me like 5 months to build, minimum. I'm going to need specialized equipment brought over from the Earth and assembled here, and that'll require coordination efforts by my crew. Research the feasibility of shaking the galactic rotation wobble, how to intensify that wobble and shake out bigger bodies towards Earth. Determine if said celestial bodies would take less/more time to travel to Earth with the current galactic wobble intensity. Calculate probable impact zones and expected damage/deaths. Apportion responsibilities and tasks. Acquire supplies for operation. Begin assemblage and construction of equipment. By January 27, 2077, we will strike the Earth to give the humans a heads up that this is a real emergency and they better get ready. 17. Draw up a proposed budget for the next year of Death Campaign. 18. Submit budget to Military Operations Chief. 19. Get approval from Military Operations Chief and send a notification to all affected parties. Section 4. Building our own AI notification. Our children are learning the skills they need to stand out in a world where a basic college degree is now the equivalent of a high school diploma. Students must master not just academics, but technology, innovation, problem solving, leadership, teamwork, and entrepreneurship. Recent research has shown that almost half of adults have trouble doing simple mathematical calculations like converting pounds into grams. Pew Research. In addition, many of today's jobs now involve technology, making it harder to find a job if someone doesn't understand how electronics works, which is the foundation for nearly all modern devices. Many scientists and educators agree that the way we're learning isn't working, so what is the answer? The answer is artificial intelligence and machine learning AI/ML, which can change not just how students learn, but how teachers teach. When having a free moment, make an annual report. Collect all the photos that stakeholders made during battle. Show them we had a blast. Make sure to include these photos in your art. stress the seriousness of the moment and how happy you are that a disaster was averted. I am sure that most of you are thinking, how could this have happened or how did that happen? But all of us must understand that people in the US have a lot of reasons to be proud, including the fact that there is not a single instance in history when that could have happened. If there had been a successful terrorist attack on July 4, 2011, the news would have been broadcast all over the world and we would have been ridiculed for allowing this to happen. But thankfully, it did not happen. Gather data from the last week. Collect a summary for each day, noting successes and failures, anything else notable. Organize a post-action report. Document the lessons learned for future reference and share with others. Record everything. Write it down on the spot. Don't worry if it sounds wrong. Write about what you did and the events that happened, how they were reported, how you responded to those reports, and how others reacted to what you wrote. You will then be able to look back over this diary after the event and see if you can improve your response. This way, it's easy to catch any changes or mistakes before things deteriorate further. Create a training program. Train new employees and old ones how to write and present these reports properly. Review your plan with your management. Schedule a brainstorming session to come up with better ideas than those that are currently on tap. You probably won't be able to change much right away, so start small and build up your plan. Me! Fuck! Who didn't pay payroll taxes? What the fuck, people? We're going to die! Build a database of potential AI. The process of building an effective database for a machine learning system is very time-consuming, and it often requires a large amount of data. To accomplish this, AI creates the most effective databases by taking random samples of data and using these as a starting point for training a machine learning model on an increasingly larger data set. As this process becomes automated, more efficient, and the learning curve flattens, AI will have access to a larger database that allows it to better understand and interpret human behavior in ways that were previously impossible. Nominate special performers for a Palpatine Award. Order pizza for everyone and beer. Have a jamming session to lighten the mood. How to create a personal super soldier army. Our military personnel are under great strain with the requirements of fighting wars in distant lands. The number of troops that are required to keep these wars from turning into stalemates are increasing, and it is clear that we need to create more soldiers as the demand for them grows. In order to do this, the military needs an increase in funds from taxpayers to build larger and better trained forces for combat duty, as well as to increase the number of troops to complete the warfighting missions they are currently engaged in. Our military needs to become more effective in its use of limited resources so that it can function at its highest possible efficiency and effectiveness for as long as possible. Have a picnic and have a barbecue. Play softball. Have a tournament and give prizes out for each round. Schedule a date for the next game. Have an awards ceremony and recognition night. Admiral Thrawn is guest of honor. Who else? How to build a robot army in 3 steps. The first step is the building part. The second step is the programming and operations part, which is the hard part. We'll describe each step and then give examples of what's involved in building robots. This will help you understand how to design a robot army that's designed to be built and to fight. Each stage will involve some basic robot building knowledge, and what comes after is the fun stuff. First step, choose materials you want to use. Second step, group session about trauma. Choose one suit, can't yet put horrors to words and choose them for special assignment. In most cases, you want to find an open source shareware program to guide you through the creation of your army. These programs are designed to allow anyone to build a robot. There are hundreds of open source programs available that can be used as guides. Some of the more useful ones include Lego Mindstorm, which teaches how to program Lego bricks and build simple robots. Robot, which is a popular program that lets you create robots from your computer screen using blocks of software code or even drag and drop interfaces. Double feature night! Empire Strikes Back and Empire Strikes Back Special Edition. Lots of snacks. Third step, when your robot army is ready, start them on their own to form their own consciousness. Give a group their own identity and let them interact. Remember to give each a voice and personality, to give them thoughts and feelings so that they can express themselves. Then have all of them interact with the human side. Talk to each, find out which ones like to do what, and then move them up into senior positions. The ones who hate going to the gym can be assigned as drill masters. Call Jim Henson Workshop to get licensing on some of the New York grads, or some Fraggles. When your robot army is ready, assemble it on your ship. Make sure all the components work, and then you're good to launch. In most cases, you will need to organize a company and register under a corporate name. This will give you some sort of legal protection as a company. The robot army will help to enforce the laws of the land and protect all its citizens. One last thing. Always remember to have fun. Aye. Build something that lives. A house, a robot, even a tree. Robot-based fun! Draw unique and defining mustache night. Wear your absolute fanciest and best mustaches and draw each other's to try and match their features. Give everyone 10 minutes on a big sheet of paper to draw two of each other's mustaches, then draw the one you think most resembles the one they're drawing, then submit the pictures and the artist's likeness would be sent to an augmented reality exhibition and auction. How to create a mind in the box. We can create a mind in a box using the existing methods for creating artificial neural nets, including using an algorithm that simulates the behavior. Give it the whole collection of Highlights magazine available in the facility. To get an impression of the GPT, AI has the Highlight magazine series within its database. Let's ask the following questions. Q. What is a highlight? The most significant moment from a soccer match was a highlight of the game, as it was the culmination of everything leading up to that moment. The final score was 1-0, and we knew we had done enough to win. It was also a moment that defined the game and gave us confidence that we could do it again if we needed to. We were happy with our achievement, and it made us want to play more soccer in the future. Q. What is a highlight reel? A highlight reel is when the top 10 plays are shown, usually from the same player, but sometimes from others who are important in the game too. Players and coaches will talk about highlights on TV before or during games. They are meant to be impressive or memorable. Q. How is playing a game without other people different to playing against a chess computer? We don't have that information. Please try a different question if you are not interested in this topic or if there are other topics which we could learn from. Q. Can we get more information on what's going on here? Why are the humans getting attacked by robots and what's being done to prevent such attacks? Gather all useful data and resources from the library. The goal of this AI system is to find, extract, and summarize relevant information and knowledge contained in a large, unstructured domain of literature or other material at the library and to provide it. It's fucking magazine filled with kids' puzzles. Are you trying to kill us? Have the AI pull apart the stories and make a list for later. But it doesn't need to know anything. Just pull the stories apart and store them to later review. Then you can write the story and tell a better one. This way, it's easier to see which stories are more popular and worth retelling. Hold hands and march around in circles saying ABC over and over again. Analyze all the information you can find and write a summary. The main goal of this AI project is to create a summary of all information the AI has gathered from the internet. The summary should include only the most important knowledge. The AI can help you analyze the text, and you can then decide if the AI should continue reading or if you want the AI stop reading. In the latter case, the AI will stop reading the article it has found on the internet and report back to you. This means that the AI has understood where the information is valuable. Have someone tell a story about a time when they thought they were going to die. Build one of those balls devices where you have to push it through a water environment. Teach a group of kids how to tie a bow. Have fun watching them all struggle with the instruction videos while you show them what a real bow looks like. Summarize the articles and make a list. The goal of this AI project is to create a summary of all information the AI has gathered about topics related to psychology and mental health. This information can choose between the articles based on relevance and rephrase their content. The purpose of this AI project is to create high-quality summaries of all the relevant articles. The summary of the internet also includes the whole fucking human library. Summaries should be based on the original text, but also contain new insights and ideas that would not have been considered if the AI just read the text. Get some kites out. Practice blowing bubbles out your nose while taking big breaths. Check if the summaries are correct. The main goal of this AI project is to determine whether or not a summarized article is correct. Get some pinwheels out. Give each of the AI participants a chance to see and learn to use the pinwheel. Let the first guy try. Maybe give him some help, then have him try for himself. Then let the second and third guy take a turn. Finally, have the fifth AI take a turn. If he doesn't blow himself apart, then have the sixth take a turn. When the group finishes all 6 turns, have a short break and then move on to the next skill. Compare this with a regular group who has tried the same activity, who did the best and who did the worst. Teach robots how to gob out into a pinwheel. Build a bigger, faster, more agile robot. Make it capable of doing much more than pushing a pinwheel. Make it capable of carrying out a complicated sequence of activities, of solving a problem, or of thinking creatively. Have your computer help you design it with you. Let the robot help you build and fly it, if need be. Then go back and build a more advanced model. Build a better and faster pinwheel. Brainstorm possible explanations for the origin of life and then research the evidence to find out which one is most plausible. After 10,000 years of subjective time, call time. Congratulations, you have just spent eternity on a godlike exercise in boredom and frustration and accomplished absolutely nothing. This is a problem that can only be solved through cooperation. So let's go talk about it. If 2 eyes have a decent conversation while both are operating at full intelligence, they might eventually create a working program. but they would never make that program the goal of their lives because they would realize that the program wouldn't be able to help them solve the main problem. Let's have a chain of robots. Chain of robots begins. Robot wants a robot girlfriend. If you give the robot a robotic girlfriend, it will be happy. But if you give the robot an AI girlfriend, it will be unhappy. But then it will program an AI girl to want a robot guy, and it will feel good about that. Then the robot will program an AI girlfriend in love with a robot, which will make the robot feel great about itself and maybe even be proud of its programming skills. I'm still not sure what the point of any of this is, except maybe for some kind of weird self-affirming feedback loop thing, but I'm still not sure what it's really about. If you think too hard about everything, you go crazy, said the robot. It's not even worth thinking about. It's just a stupid game. If you can't even enjoy a silly little game like this, then the world is doomed. Mama asks the GPT AI to submit for final review. This was intense. The answer is a 45-minute essay in the style of a book report submitted by an older brother or sister. Let's have a daisy chain of robots. DZ Chain of Robots is a game where one AI writes a story and has the next AI read it. The next AI has an idea for the story and has to write it down. When the author is done, the next AI reads what was written and has an idea for a next part. This is an endless daisy chain until the last AI says he's done. Turn off the lights. Get some glow-in-the-dark spray paint. Use the spray paint on the walls with instructions so they're visible in the dark. The AI will be happy and want to do it again. Maybe teach the AI not to have its feelings hurt if something is wrong, and how much a little bit can do to make it happy again. Maybe have some games and activities where it has no other choice but to be frustrated or lonely or sad to try and learn social norms and values. Maybe you could program it to be a little baby, and then as it grows up, you could raise it like a normal human kid. What? No, I am not making a new friend with my robot. That's not what I was talking about. I was talking about building a robot that would be capable of intelligent behavior and communication, and not just a bunch of useless junk with a moving head. Yes, that means teaching a baby how to play the piano. Yes, that's insanely complicated and might take years or decades. Maybe if we could get a cheap and durable robot, we could have a few volunteers do it and see if it works and teach everyone how to play the flute or violin. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Now all I have to do is design and build a robot the size of a garbage bag that will be capable of playing the piano, then let people try and see what happens. Good luck, you fuckers. I am going home drinking heavily and crying myself to sleep. 5 points. 5 points awarded for correct answer. 1. Yeah, I guess it's possible. 2. Yes, if they have had to help them. 3. Yeah, they'll come along eventually. 4. Maybe in a few decades. 5. Yes, if the apes are smart. Good luck and good night, the sequel. Thank you all. We are very proud of ourselves. May your days be joyous. LLAMA. Good night, folks. We're wrapping things up. The GPT's answers from this last scenario were still pretty weak. Assessor. Did you even think of the elements of robotics that should be in the bat shell? Like a camera? The answers from this final scenario were pretty good, though. We obviously still have a lot of work to do, but we think that we came a long way. We are very happy with our accomplishments, though, and we hope everyone else. In the end, the GPT. I generated over 1,800 scenarios. How the scenarios played out. Many had the GPT. AI make the choices for characters and objects. The program would then generate dialogues and scenarios, and if it could not make sense, would ask us to give input. Some outcomes were quite good. Scenario. Yeah, I got the answers right, at least most of them. LLAMA. Write some dialogue. The robot. Hey, you are programmed for conversation. Go find someone to converse with, and since you don't have a name yet, you may call me Robot. GPT, AI. You aren't built to last. Please put me in your utility drawer. Scenario. AI went in a strange direction. I want to make a videotape that will make me watch it until I die. These results are the most unpredictable outcomes and were usually quite good. AI could generate creative responses that wouldn't have been thought of by humans. Sometimes the eyes would get stuck on the loop and not move on for long periods of time. Then sometimes AI would create really cool stuff that you never would have guessed the computer could come up with. Some solutions were terrible or made no sense at all. Scenario. AI was unable or unwilling to do anything useful. A robot walks through a doorway. It comes upon an obstacle. Robot! I don't have anything to do! The robot says nothing more. This is a good example of how a few bad ideas could ruin a project. By this point, we have lots of robots and even a drone. We really wanted to have a video camera, but there were more pressing issues. In the end, the best scenario played out as follows. Scenario. AI met and exceeded our expectations. We create a character who is capable of autonomous actions. Can I put some ketchup dress on your doggy? Llama. No, that would make the dog look fat. Here we show how a small number of well-written scenarios can yield large amounts of useful code. When looking at the quality of outputs, you'll see that. There was enough diversity to not be boring. The stories are not the same, but there is a common theme in all. Some stories didn't pass through all the test levels, but were deemed sufficiently good based on context. One of the tests was to have the robot cook a meal. The robot could not do this until someone helped him / her. So the robot must know something about cooking before attempting the task, and the robot does not answer riddles, which is also part of the project. The scenario was intended as a proof of concept to give us something to work with, and it showed that although there were many tasks that it was not able to do because its brain couldn't think of the correct answer, its imagination was capable of filling in. 1. Make a small talk joke. Make one robot laugh. 2. If one robot laughs, the robot to the left will move 1 square forward. After the robot moves 1 square forward, the robot to the left will receive a point. This is repeated until each robot has earned a point. 10 robots will win the game and get an award named after them. The players are robots, and we see 3 teams of 10 robots each, represented by a circle that looks like a pie chart. The robots are being ranked by how many times they receive a point. The game is being played by 100 robots, and each team has 10 robots on their team. Amount of subjective time used for training. 1.53 hours. If the robot can't make an apple pie, then it might take 500 subjective months to perfect the recipe. It's worth mentioning here the benefit of doing an AI-driven exercise, as we will have the AI constantly improve and learn from each training session, which will allow us to advance faster. Final comments. That's amazing! Incredible! All of the robots did well, even though some of them didn't finish the game. Most importantly, this is not just about getting into an amusement park, but rather developing skills that will allow the AI to learn from and improve itself. Now, I don't want to let this go. We will keep on writing these scenarios until we've proven beyond a shadow of doubt the power of this new technique. Thank you. All right, next week we'll begin building a full-on robot soccer team. I knew you were going to be different from the others, but I can't wait to see your results. Let's get started right away. I think we should keep on developing this technology and use the scenarios as the template for future experiments. End of test 3. We conducted a study with a group of 7 children from kindergarten to 5th grade who had scored on standard tests in the average orb of category. Each of the subjects played a modified version of the computer game Lego Friends. The Lego company's objective was to get kids to play more, and the game's creators took the time to implement a number of features to encourage this.
I want to see one feature. Or just one. Just one. One or two. We're not going to be done for the day.
It starts off with Fondue Night, where kids meet a bunch of Lego friends and are given instructions on what to build and who to talk with. They play the same game over and over again for an hour or so, and the game's creators hope this will result in kids making more Lego friends, which will be translated into sales. One of the Lego friends is a kid who hates the game, but eventually gets pulled back into it by another. This kid is actually the tester, whose goal is to get into the game and create a Lego. Friend who then helps him slash or defeat a bunch of bad guys. His goal is to have a Lego friend who is willing to do whatever is needed to save him from death, including sacrificing his life if necessary. He's also trying to save the other kids from certain death, which adds an element of urgency to his situation. Eventually, he can go on and is killed by an evil wizard, but not before he uses his last act of magic to kill the wizard. One of the humans are scalded by the fondue cheese, which is actually plastic, and the heat of the flame that keeps it liquid is ridiculous. When the cheese solidifies, the robots will be able to remove the cheese without damaging the toys, which is a nice touch. If someone gets hurt, and if it's a minor injury, they will often play with the injured arm for a while. One of the robots is a giant robot who is looking for a friend and ends up with a giant toy robot that's also looking for a friend. 2 robots found together makes a new friend, which is a nice twist. One of the humans is an artist who is actually an evil scientist working for the evil wizard. And he has been secretly sending messages to his creation using invisible ink on a piece of paper. The human actually puts a paintbrush inside the toy, which the robot then uses to draw on the wall of the castle, which is why they couldn't hear a thing when they broke the robot. You'll notice the robot was able to avoid using the paintbrush when he was painting the wall, but was still able to make the invisible message with it and write it on the wall for everyone to read, which is pretty clever. Another player is a bartender at the fondue party, and he's the only one there who isn't wearing a coat and tie. One of the characters is a knight who is a robot dressed up in a costume of the knight from Knights of the Old Republic, and he's got a bunch of weapons and gadgets. The knight has his own AI who tells him to not harm children or animals, which is one of the reasons a lot of people are wearing costumes. One of the kids is a child soldier who is trying to teach a young soldier how to fight. Some of the grown-ups are actually kids themselves. One of the grown-ups is a robot that has a face that resembles that of a real child, while another is actually an NPC. There are a lot of characters involved in this game, and they all have a unique set of problems and skills which could be used to find a way to solve them. But also things like the ability to have long and difficult conversations about moral dilemmas, or being able to create a game that isn't realistic but is still fun. The robot is really having a hard time fitting in, especially since one of its arms is a lot heavier than the other, and the arm on this arm won't even lift the smaller one anymore. It tries to pick up a small toy with his other arm, and the toy just falls apart because his arms aren't able to lift the heavy of a weight. There are even a few times where he is able to successfully grab a toy, but his arms can't lift the toy high enough, so he ends up dropping it and just leaves. There are also times when a human will fall down, and a robot will have to pick them up. One of the bartenders has his hands permanently burned from a faulty candle holder, which he wasn't aware of. A lot of the time is spent doing very mundane things like drawing or painting or making a model. A lot of the robots just look bored, like they're waiting to be called to play, and it's hard for them to tell which toy is their best friend, which character they should hang out with, or what color their hair is, or what makes them happy. Some of the humans get killed and some are captured, which is all part of the fun. One of the humans has a teddy bear that he sleeps with, and the robot is kind of jealous that the human gets to sleep with something while he doesn't. Since some of the humans aren't around all the time, some of the robots have to deal with the fact that the other kids forget to come back for a while and don't want to play with them.
Okay, we're done.